In the last video, I talked about adding a few images to our pages. And as you know, in the last versions of Drupal, it was kind of difficult to add images, especially if you wanted to add images where we needed them to be. Drupal 8 makes everything a lot easier. And as a special bonus for you guys, I'm going to share a well-kept secret. This is a stock photography site which doesn't require you to have to deal with, licenses or stuff like that. Use it at your own risk, but read what it says. Go to Pexels or Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S, yeah. And read the license stuff right here. It says all photos on Pexels are free for any personal and commercial purpose. So if I use an image and if someone has a problem with it or if there's a license issue, I can always change it, and you can always change it. But if you're on a budget and you're just starting a demo site, you can even contribute, by the way. That would be a great way to get some images and then also contribute something of your own to share with others if you have images that you're not using or you don't need. So it says over here, attribution is not required either. Now, this is a great way to start because most stock photography sites, I think most images, they're pretty expensive. Now, if you want to pay for stock photography and you're like, well, Ramona, I don't know about pixels, seems too good to be true, I want to pay for images, I got another option for you. And the images are also quite inexpensive. So, because Getty Images and Shutterstock, those are the big, they have some beautiful images, don't get me wrong, but they're kind of expensive. So, when it comes to pictures, I would say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If you see something you really like, you want to pay the money for it, go ahead and do that. But I like the images in here too, and they're quite inexpensive. And so if you go to see plans, it comes down to 53 cents per image, and if you get the 5 images a day, or you could do 10 images a day, depending on how many images you need. And they have great stock photography. Yeah. For the purpose of these demos, I'm going to use Pexels. I'm going to search for a cat photo. Well, wait, I probably shouldn't search for a cat photo. I use that as a demo for something else. Since this website is about web design, San Francisco, maybe I should look for a computer. I know, boring, not as interesting as the cat, but let's start with something that looks cool. Oh, it's pretty cool. Got a little cute little bat image. Alright. This is a clean image because it's a white background. It'll nicely match our site. And the moment it's done downloading, yep, I'm going to right click, say save image as. I'm going to call this computer. And I'm going to get a smaller version of this file. And I'm going to modify that in Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, or if you don't have any complicated software, what do you know? I have another bonus for you. It's called Gimp. It is a free image manipulation software. It's got a lot of features that Photoshop has. And if you've never used it before, go ahead and hit download. I'm going to go ahead and hit download. Oh, I shouldn't have hit that one. Let me go ahead and use this one. I want the exe file. I'm not going to install a torrent. I'm just going to pause this video until the whole thing downloads and then unpause it. Alright, so GIMP is completely downloaded. It took like 4 minutes. I'm just gonna open it. And I'm getting a message like this. Say yes. And go ahead and set it up. I'll pause while this happens. And it's done installing. I'm gonna hit finish. And I'm gonna open the software. Some of you may have it on your desktop, so feel free to check that out. And for me, it's in the C drive under program files. Sometimes you'll get a shortcut in your desktop, or you can look in your start menu. But for me, it was in my program files in Gimp 2, and what I ended up having to do is a search for the executable because I can't access my start menu for some reason. It's giving me trouble, but you should be able to find it there. So let's close all these extra tabs in the meantime. And since this is the first time I'm running Gimp, to modify my image, just taking a second. And when it starts up, you'll see, let me minimize this window and remove this window as well. You'll basically just see something like this. You maximize this screen, you move this toolbox, and just open the image file, or locate the image file, and then drag it into the software. So I've got this folder with stuff that I want to upload. So I want to upload this image that we downloaded earlier. So I just drag it in here into Gimp. Okay. And the moment I do that, I go to image, and I could change the image size. I could scale the image, and I could either change it by percent or by pixels. So pixels represent a dot on your screen. Now the amount of space that dot takes depends on the type of screen you have. You could go on Google, you could do a little search about what is a pixel, and the higher the pixels, the more the resolution. But in this case, it doesn't make sense, because for 72 pixels, like say for example this box right here could be about 500 by 500, and that's a super big image, right? And so you can imagine that this is taking 5,000, so it's it's extremely large. So I'm gonna make this a 500 pixel, and I'm gonna select this little chain icon so the height matches proportionally with the width. So there isn't any deformity in the image. And so I'm gonna hit scale, and that's a smaller version of my image. It's a 500 by 500, and if I look at it at 100%, this is the exact size. Let me remove this out of the way. This is the exact size it'll show up on my screen in Photoshop. Now I can use the rectangle select tool to just only select this area. Okay. And image, and I could basically auto crop and then select, or I could basically open it in a new window, whatever. So basically it's asking me, do I want to, actually let me hit cancel and show you what I did. Discard changes. Okay. Now a lot of times I use Photoshop, so if I were to select all, I could go like that, or I could just go into select none, so nothing's selected now. And then I could go to file, you could say export as, and basically this is the image, right? Export dot, this is computer.png. That was the image that we first got. It was 3.4 megs. It's kind of a big image, and I'm gonna call it computer modified, because that's the new image with all our changes. I'm gonna hit export, and don't worry about changing all these things. This is just a quick little edit, and now you know how to do a quick image change. You can discard those changes because it doesn't change the file that I exported. And I'm going to exit out of the program. Just hit quit. So here is the first image, and now you have that image file with all those changes. It's super easy to do. Now I go back to my Drupal site, and the whole point of all that is to show you how you can go in here, quickly do an edit, and add an image to this page. So before we do all that, there's something else you want to keep in mind. You see this little thing right next to source? It's basically show the blocks. So p tags on a visual front are paragraph tags. And if you don't know code, that's okay. It just means that it has these opening p tags and closing p tags. So don't worry about that. The purpose of me showing you that, though, is to give you an idea that if I want to place an image, it has to be somewhere between these tags, right? So if you're uncomfortable doing that, don't worry, just click that again and just select an area right after this little paragraph, and if you click on this again, you'll see that there's another p tag created. Now I just want to create a simple area just to place my image, so I'm going to select this little thing. If you missed it, it's this little thing that looks like a mountain right next to the table or the block quote. I'm going to select the image, choose the file, the area where I have my file. In this case it is computer modified. That's the new image. I'm gonna hit open, and you want to use alternative text, okay? And the reason for that is not just for the visually impaired, as it says over here, but it's a lot better for search engines. Say for example, if for SEO purposes, if you were to name your images, give it a a defined name, like say you're selling a unique service and someone was to search for that term. By the way, we'll come to SEO stuff later, okay, so don't worry about that, but for now it's nice to give a name for your image. It's better for search engines, it's great for accessibility features like it says over here for visually impaired. I always like to upload an image with alternative text. It's not a must, although Drupal requires you to, so they made that a compulsory thing. So let's just say computer clean modern style, and I could align this image to the left, to the right, or to the center, and I'm going to align it to the right just so you can see, and I'm going to leave the caption as blank. And you see what it did over here? So let's go back and go right click and change some of these image properties. What if I set alignment as none and I hit save? It would basically take this whole space. But I wanted to show you. I mean, you could align an image to the text. So if you had a smaller image, you could, align text all around it. Or in this case, it's just in the center of the screen. If I could do more, I could click on image properties, select caption, I could save it, and now you could enter a caption, and you could say, just select it because that text won't change until you start typing something. So you could basically say something like computer with clean modern look. Let's say style. Alright. And then I'm going to go ahead and save and keep it published. And by the way, if you didn't already do this, I know I talked about it in one of the first lectures, but if you click on edit, see all these cool features that are available. That's because we have the text format as full HTML. If you don't have full HTML, please make sure that you select full HTML. I know I mentioned that in one of the first couple of videos, and the first few videos when you first added content, but just keep this in mind as well. Alright, so resave it, keep it published, go click on the home page. Okay, and it will be nice to look at it from a place that we're not logged into. Alright, it's the home page. Now we have a nice image added to our site. And that's how simple it is to add an image. So now you have access to a really cool stock photography site. You have a way of manipulating images by yourself using open source software like Gimp. And you know how to add an image. And stay tuned. There's more to come. There's a lot more cool features and functionality that we're going to add to this site. Alright.